Hey, I'm Emma. Welcome to Revenge Pulse, where every story hits different. Hit subscribe and let's dive in. The Sunday dinner table at my parents' house was loud, with congratulations just not for me. Tyler's podcast hit 500 downloads. Mom's voice carried over the clatter of dishes, her face glowing with pride as she squeezed my brother's shoulder. That's practically viral. I set down my fork carefully, the metal clinking against the plate louder than I intended. Actually, I have some news too. I finished my cardiology residency last week. I'm officially Dr. Sarah Chun now. The words hung in the air for exactly 2 seconds. Tyler, you should do an episode about monetization strategies, Dad said, leaning forward with his elbows on the table. I was reading that podcasters can make serious money once they hit. Did you hear what I said? My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Mom glanced at me briefly, the same distracted look she'd given me for 29 years. That's nice, honey. Tyler, show your father that analytics dashboard you were telling me about. Tyler pulled out his phone, and just like that, I ceased to exist again. I sat there for another 40 minutes, watching my family dissect every aspect of Tyler's hobby that might become something. Nobody asked about my residency. Nobody asked about the grueling 80-hour weeks, the patients I'd saved, the attending physician who told me I had the best diagnostic instincts he'd seen in a decade. You're quiet tonight, Mom said as she cleared plates, pausing at my shoulder for half a second. Just tired, I said. Well, don't work too hard. You know, stress causes wrinkles. She patted my shoulder absently and moved on to Tyler, asking if he wanted seconds on dessert. I drove home to my studio apartment, the one I'd lived in throughout residency, with its broken bathroom tile and the radiator that clanged at 3 a.m. Man sat in my car for 20 minutes before going inside. This wasn't new. This was the pattern. When I was 8, I won the regional spelling bee. I came home with the trophy, hands shaking with excitement, and found Mom on the phone bragging about Tyler making the soccer team. When she hung up, she said, "That's wonderful, Sarah," without looking at the trophy. It sat on my dresser for 3 years before I threw it away. Nobody ever noticed it was gone. When I was 16, I got a full scholarship to Northwestern. Tyler got accepted to community college the same week. We had a family dinner to celebrate his acceptance. My scholarship letter stayed in my backpack. When I mentioned it 2 days later, Dad said, "Oh, we assumed you'd get something like that. You're smart." As if being smart meant I didn't need recognition. As if intelligence was supposed to be its own reward. Tyler, on the other hand, got celebrated for participation. Every mediocre grade was such an improvement. Every abandoned hobby was exploring his options. Every failed venture was learning, experience. I learned early that my role wasn't to succeed. It was to be self-sufficient while making my success invisible, so my family's attention could stay fixed on Tyler's potential. The night after that Sunday dinner, I lay in bed staring at my medical degree propped against the wall. I hadn't even bothered to frame it. What was the point? Nobody was going to look at it. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Can you send your brother $200? His podcast equipment broke and he has an important episode to record." I stared at the message for a full minute. Then, I sent the money, like I always did, because that was my other role. The ATM machine who never said no. 2.5 years later, I stood in my loft's floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the Chicago skyline with a cup of coffee in my hands. T-Space was 1,800 square feet of exposed brick, industrial beams, and light. So much light. The kitchen had marble countertops I'd picked out myself. The bathroom had heated floors. My bedroom overlooked the river, and I'd furnished it with a king-size bed that cost more than 3 months of my old studio's rent. I'd paid $925,000 for this place, and I've done it without telling my family I was even looking. "You're smiling at the window again," said a voice behind me. I turned to find Marcus leaning against the kitchen island, his own coffee cup in hand. Marcus Webb, attending cardiologist, my former supervisor, and the mentor who'd changed my entire trajectory. "I'm allowed to smile at my own window," I said. "You are." It's just nice to see you actually enjoying something you've earned," a Oktober standing beside me. How's the new position? Intense. Good. I'd taken a job at Northwestern Memorial 3 months ago as an interventional cardiologist. The salary was $340,000 a year, more money than I'd ever imagined making. I performed 2 emergency catheterizations yesterday. Both patients are stable. That's my star student. Marcus had been the one who encouraged me to specialize, who wrote recommendations that opened doors, who told me I was allowed to want things for myself. Your family coming to visit the new place? They don't know I moved. Marcus raised an eyebrow but didn't push. He knew enough about my family from our conversations during residency, the endless small loans I provided, the achievements that went unacknowledged, the way I'd worked myself to exhaustion while supporting Tyler's endless failed ventures. I send my mom $800 a month, I said quietly. She thinks it's for household expenses. I've been doing it for 6 years. They have no idea I bought this place. They think I'm still in that studio in Wicker Park. Do they ask about your life? Tyler's cryptocurrency thing failed last month. That's been the main topic in the family group chat. I pulled out my phone and showed him 47 messages about Tyler's losses, strategies for his next venture. Mom asking if anyone knew about day trading. I posted that I was lead cardiologist on a case that got written up in a medical journal. 0 responses, not one. Marcus shook his head. Sarah, you know that's not normal. I know. And I did know. Therapy had helped me see the golden child versus scapegoat dynamic clearly. I understood intellectually that my family's treatment wasn't my fault, wasn't about my worth, but knowing something and feeling it were different things. The difference now was that I'd stopped trying to earn their attention. I'd built this life, this beautiful, successful life without them. My colleagues respected me. My patients sent thank you cards. Marcus and his wife invited me to dinners where people actually asked about my work and listened to the answers. I'd found my people, and they weren't related to me by blood. My best friend from medical school, Jennifer, came over the following weekend with her husband and their toddler. This place is unreal, she said, walking through the open concept living area. Sarah, you've made it. Like, actually made it. It feels surreal sometimes, I admitted. Good surreal or bad surreal? Good. Definitely good. I picked up her daughter, who immediately grabbed my stethoscope from the counter. I keep waiting for someone to tell me I don't deserve it. Jennifer's expression softened. Your family still doesn't know. Nope. Are you going to tell them? I thought about it, watching the toddler play with my stethoscope, listening to Jennifer's husband compliment my kitchen. I don't think so. What's the point? So they can ignore it in person instead of over text? Or so they can ask you for money now that they know you have it? Jennifer said dryly. She wasn't wrong. I'd done the math once. Late at night when I couldn't sleep, I'd stopped giving anything beyond the monthly $800 about 6 months ago. Nobody had noticed. Nobody had asked if I was okay, if something was wrong, if I needed help. They just stopped asking me for extra money, which told me everything about why they contacted me at all. My days fell into a rhythm. Hospital rounds at 6 a.m., surgeries and consultations, research time in the evenings. I dated occasionally, nothing serious, but I was content. I had my loft, my career, my chosen family of friends, and I had therapy every other Tuesday, where I worked on letting go of the fantasy that my family would suddenly see me. I had Sunday morning runs along the lakefront, coffee at my favorite cafe, farmers market trips where I bought fresh flowers for my dining table. I had a life I'd built entirely on my own terms, and I'd built it quietly, invisibly. The same way I'd existed for 29 years. Except this time, the invisibility was my choice. The photo appeared on a Tuesday afternoon. I was between cases, checking my phone in the physician's lounge, when I saw that Dr. Patel, one of the younger residents, had tagged me on Instagram. The image showed our team on my loft's rooftop terrace. We'd hosted a small celebration the night before, after successfully completing a complex valve replacement. The photo captured the Chicago skyline at sunset, the rooftop garden I'd installed, and the corner of my outdoor kitchen. The caption read, "Celebrating with the dream team at Dr. Chun's incredible place. #medicine goals, #Chicago life, #best mentor." I felt my stomach drop, not from the photo itself, But from the sudden realization, my Instagram wasn't private. My cousin Ashley followed me. Ashley, who was friends with my mom on Facebook, who shared everything with the family. I waited. It took 90 minutes. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Sarah, I didn't know you moved. Your place looks beautiful. Then Dad, that's quite a place you have. Must be doing well. Then Tyler, whoa, sis, that rooftop is sick. When can I visit? Then Mom again, we're so proud of you. Why didn't you tell us? 80 messages in 2 hours. More direct communication from my family than I'd received in the past 6 months combined. I recognized this pattern immediately. The messages kept coming throughout the evening. Mom, I can't believe you've been living there and didn't tell us. We would have loved to help you decorate. Ashley, your place is amazing. I had no idea you were doing so well. Can I come see it? Tyler, how many bedrooms? Could I crash there sometime if I need to be in Chicago for networking? Dad, call your mother. She's upset. You kept this from us. I turned my phone face down on my kitchen counter and poured a glass of wine. Marcus called around 8 p.m. You okay? Patel feels terrible about the tag. It's not his fault. I should have made my account private. I took a sip of wine. My family found out about the loft. And let me guess, sudden interest in your life. 18 messages in 2 hours. My mother used to exclamation points. She never uses exclamation points with me. What are you going to do? Nothing tonight. Maybe. Nothing ever. I looked around my loft, at the space I'd created without them, the life I'd built in silence. They've never once asked where I live. Not once in 2.5 years. My mom thought I was still in that studio. Because you've been invisible to them until they saw something they wanted. Exactly. Wednesday morning. I woke up to find a family group chat created overnight. Sarah's big news. Tyler, so are we going to talk about Sarah being secretly rich this whole time? Mom, she's not rich. Tyler, she's just doing well. We're all so proud. Dad, she's a doctor. Of course she's doing well. Ashley, that loft has to be worth at least $800,000 in that neighborhood. Mom, Ashley, we don't talk about money. The irony was so thick, I could taste it. I muted the chat and went to work. Thursday, I found out my parents had called the hospital. The receptionist told me, a woman claiming to be your mother had asked for my schedule and wanted to know if they could visit during my lunch break. I asked the receptionist to note in the system that no information about my schedule should be shared with anyone. Friday afternoon, while I was reviewing patient charts, Marcus appeared in my office doorway with an odd expression. Your family's in the lobby. What? Your parents and your brother. They have a cake. They're asking to see you. I felt my jaw tighten. I'm with patients until 6 p.m. I told them that. They said they'd wait. Of course they would. I made them wait until 6:47 p.m. Not out of pettiness, but because I genuinely had patients to see, notes to complete, a resident to supervise. When I finally walked into the lobby, I found my family arranged on the waiting room chairs, like they were posing for a portrait. Mom held a grocery store cake that read, "Congratulations, Dr. Sarah," in purple icing. Dad wore his church suit. Tyler had his camera out, presumably for content. Surprise, Mom stood up, holding out the cake. We wanted to celebrate you properly. I looked at the three of them, standing in the hospital where I'd worked for 3 months without a single visit, holding a cake they'd bought after seeing my loft on Instagram. Let's talk outside, I said. We sat at a coffee shop 2 blocks from the hospital. The cake sat in the middle of the table, untouched. This is really unnecessary, I said. It's just a place to live. It's not just a place, Mom said, her voice warm in a way I'd rarely heard directed at me. It's a beautiful home. We had no idea you were doing so well. I've been a cardiologist for 2.5 years. Before that, I was a resident for 6 years. Before that, medical school. My career trajectory hasn't been a secret. But you never told us you moved. Mom's smile faltered slightly. We would have helped. You didn't ask. The words came out flat. In 2.5 years, nobody asked where I was living. Awkward silence. Tyler broke it. Okay, but seriously, that rooftop is incredible. Do you ever throw parties? I could probably get some influencers too. Why are you really here? I asked. Another silence. This one heavier. Dad cleared his throat. Can't we just want to see our daughter? You could, but you don't. I kept my voice level, clinical. I announced my residency completion at Sunday dinner 2.5 years ago. Nobody acknowledged it. I posted about the medical journal article. No response. I've sent updates in the family chat. That gets 0 replies. But 90 minutes after a photo of my loft appears on Instagram, I get 18 messages. Mom's face flushed. That's not fair, Sarah. We've been busy. Busy celebrating Tyler's podcast. Busy with Tyler's crypto venture. Busy with Tyler's every hobby and failure and new idea. I looked at my brother, who had the grace to look uncomfortable. How much money have I sent you in the past 8 years? Sarah, this isn't about Dad started. $87. I did the math, plus the $800 a month I send Mom for household expenses. I watched comprehension dawn on their faces. Did you think I'd keep doing that forever without ever wondering if you actually cared about me, or just about what I could provide? We do care about you. Mom's voice pitched higher. We're here, aren't we? You're here because you saw that I have something valuable. You're here because you realized I've been successful without needing you. And that scares you? Because it means the ATM might close. Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then looked at me. Look, I know this is bad timing, but since we're all together, my personal training business needs a cash infusion. The lease on the gym space is due. And how much? Primera. Asked $45,000. I know it's a lot, but no. The word sat between us like a stone. What? Tyler blinked. No. I'm not giving you $45,000. But you clearly have it, Tyler said. And there it was, the entitlement. The assumption that loft probably cost, what? Close to $1 million? You can't spare $45,000 for your own brother? You don't need 2 homes, Mom added quickly. You could sell it and help your brother. This is what family does. I actually laughed. The sound surprised even me. This is what family does. I repeated. Family ignores your achievements. Family forgets you exist until they need money. Family treats you like an ATM machine and a safety net while giving all their attention and affection to the golden child who fails at everything he touches. That's cruel, Dad said. Your brother is trying his best. I know he is. And he gets celebrated for trying. I succeed, actually succeed, and I get silence. I stood up. I'm done. With the money, with the expectations, with being invisible until I'm useful, I'm done. Success has made you cold, Mom said. Tears forming. The old Sarah would never talk to us like this. The old Sarah was desperate for your approval. The new Sarah knows she'll never get it, and she's made peace with that. I picked up my bag. Do one contact me unless you're ready to have a relationship where I am treated like an actual daughter, not a bank account. You're really going to abandon your family? Dad's voice hardened. After everything we've done for you. I paused at that. What have you done for me? Silence. That's what I thought. I walked toward the door, leaving them with their grocery store cake and their shock. Behind me, I heard Tyler say, "She can't be serious. She'll come around." I kept walking. They didn't take the boundary well. Saturday morning, I woke to 43 missed calls and a string of messages that escalated from sweet to desperate to angry. Mom, Sarah, honey, can we please talk? We love you. Mom, your father and I are worried about you. This isn't like you. Dad, you're being dramatic. Family has disagreements. Tyler, come on sis, don't be like this. Mom, your grandmother is very upset. She says you're breaking her heart. Ashley, everyone's talking about what happened. Mom's crying. Can you just apologize? Tyler, My gym is going to fail without that money. Is that what you want? Dad, you've always been selfish, but this is a new low. I blocked all of them except the family group chat, which I muted. Marcus took me to lunch on Sunday. His wife, Diana Kametoshi, was a family therapist, and she'd been gently coaching me through setting boundaries for months. How are you holding up? Diana asked. Honestly, I feel lighter. And I did. The guilt was there, but underneath it was something close to relief. They showed up at the hospital yesterday. Security had to escort them out. Marcus's expression darkened. They what? Tyler tried to get to my office. Started filming for his social media when security stopped him. He's posting about how I've abandoned my family in their time of need. That's harassment, Diana said firmly. You should document everything. I am screenshots, call logs, everything I picked at my salad. My mom left a voicemail saying, my dad's having chest pains from the stress. Funny how that happens, right when I set a boundary. Classic guilt manipulation, Diana said. Sudden health scares, threats of abandonment, public shaming there, following the textbook playbook for families who've lost control of their scapegoat. Is it working? Marcus asked me gently. No. And that was the truth. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. But I'm not changing my mind. Monday morning, I arrived at the hospital to find my supervisor, Dr. Keller, waiting in my office. We need to talk about your family situation, she said. My heart sank. What did they do? Your brother posted a video on TikTok. It's getting traction. He is claiming you stole family money to buy your loft and now you're refusing to help with a family emergency. I felt my face go hot. That's completely false. I know. I've known you for 3 years, Sarah. You're one of the most ethical physicians I've ever worked with. Dr. Keller pulled out her phone. But this has 200,000 views. People are leaving comments on the hospital's social media pages. I watched Tyler's video, him looking earnest into the camera, talking about how his wealthy sister had cut off the family, how she lived in luxury while refusing to help her brother's struggling small business, how success had changed her. The comments were brutal. Rich people have no soul. Imagine abandoning your family. This is why I do UNT trust doctors. What do you need me to do? Primera. Ashkiv. Dr. Keller smiled slightly. Nothing. I'm telling you so you're aware. Not because I believe it. I already spoke with our legal team. If this continues, we'll pursue defamation charges. She paused. Also, I want you to know what you're doing takes courage. I've met families like yours. They don't make it easy. Tuesday evening, I was preparing dinner when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. A woman I didn't recognize, holding a clipboard. Dr. Chun. I'm with social services. We received a report that you might be experiencing a mental health crisis. Can we talk? My family had called in a wellness check. The social worker was professional and kind. She asked questions, looked around my clearly well-maintained home, and within 20 minutes determined the call had been made in bad faith. This happens sometimes, she said at my door. Family members weaponize services when they're angry. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. After she left, I sat on my couch and cried for the first time since this started. Not because I was sad, because I was angry. Furious that my family would try to make me look unstable, would waste social services time, would stoop this low. I called Diana. They've escalated too, involving authorities, I told her. What do I do? Document, Italiano. Consider a restraining order if it continues. And Sarah. Her voice was gentle but firm. This is what happens when someone who's been controlled their entire life takes that control back. They're panicking because they've lost their power over you. That's not your problem to fix. Wednesday, the final straw came. My colleague, Dr. Rahman, pulled me aside after rounds. There's a man in the lobby claiming to be your father. He is telling anyone who listen that you're withholding medical care from him and he needs you to authorize a procedure. I went down immediately. Dad sat in the lobby, looking frail and worried, talking to 2 other families in the waiting area. When Isome, his expression shifted just for a second. I saw calculation before the mask of concern returned. Sarah, thank God. I need to talk to you about my heart. You don't have a heart condition, I said quietly. You had a physical 3 months ago. Clean bill of health. Mom sent the results to the family chat. I've been having pains. Then, see your cardiologist. But you're not doing this here, in my workplace, manipulating patients and their families. I turned to security. Please escort this man out. He's not a patient, and he's not welcome here. Dad's face flushed red. You'd do this to your own father. You'd fake a medical emergency to manipulate your daughter, so yes. I watched security approach. Don't come back. As they escorted him out, he shouted, This is what happens when you give women too much power. They forget their families. Several people in the lobby looked uncomfortable. Dr. Keller appeared beside me. Are you okay? I will be. I was shaking, but my voice was steady. I need to file for a restraining order. I'll walk you through it. And Sarah? She squeezed my shoulder. You're handling this exactly right. Boundaries aren't negotiable. 8 months later, I hosted Thanksgiving in my loft. The guest list, Marcus and Diana, Jennifer and her family, 3 colleagues from the hospital, and Daniel DeGento, funny nurse ED, been dating for 4 months, who made me laugh and never once made me feel invisible. My dining table, the one that seated 12, was full for the first time. This is incredible, Jennifer's husband said, looking around at the spread. Sarah, you outdid yourself. I had help. I smiled at Daniel, who'd spent the morning helping me prep. Turns out cooking for people who actually show up is a lot more fun. Marcus raised his glass. A toast to Sarah, who built this beautiful life through her own strength, skill, and determination. We're grateful to be part of it. To Sarah, everyone echoed. I felt tears prick my eyes, but these were good tears. Happy tears. This was what family was supposed to feel like. The restraining order had been granted in June. Tyler's video had been removed from TikTok after our legal team proved the defamation. The hospital had issued a statement supporting me. My family had been legally barred from contacting me for 1 year, with the option to extend. Heidi heard through Ashihudi apologized profusely and distanced herself from the drama that my parents were struggling. The $800 monthly payments had stopped. They'd had to downsize from their house to an apartment. Tyler's gym had failed, and he was living with them, still convinced his next venture would work out. I felt no satisfaction in their struggles, but I felt no guilt either. I'd stopped paying for their choices. That was all. You seem really happy, Daniel said later that night, after everyone had left and we were cleaning up together. I am. I loaded dishes into the dishwasher. For the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm not waiting for my family to finally see me. I'm just ... living. They're missing out. Said simply, you're extraordinary. I'd heard those words before, from mentors, from colleagues, but hearing them from someone who chose to be in my life, who showed up consistently, who celebrated my wins and supported my struggles that hit differently, I used to think something was wrong with me. I admitted that if I just achieved enough, succeeded enough, gave enough, they'd finally love me the way they loved Tyler. And now, I know they did love me, Jess, not in a way that was healthy or sustainable for me, and I know that walking away wasn't cruel. It was necessary. Christmas came, and I didn't send gifts. I didn't send cards. I didn't send money. I spent the holiday in Colorado with Daniel's family, warm, functional people who asked about my work with genuine interest, who included me in conversations, who treated me like I mattered. On New Year's Eve, I stood on my rooftop terrace, watching fireworks over Lake Michigan, Daniel's arm around my shoulders, and took stock of my life. I had a career I loved, where I saved lives and mentored younger physicians. I had a home that was mine, filled with things I chose. I had relationships built on mutual respect and genuine affection. I had peace. Real, deep, sustainable peace. In February, the restraining order came up for review. My family's lawyer requested it be lifted, claiming they'd learned their lesson and wanted to repath the relationship. I extended it for another year. Diana had asked me during our session, what would it take for you to have a relationship with them again? I'd thought about it carefully. Consistent change. Therapy. For all of them. Acknowledgement of the pattern, not just apologies for individual incidents. Genuine interest in my life that doesn't correlate with my resources. Boundaries they respect without argument. Do you think they'll do that work? No. Does that make you sad? Sometimes, but mostly, it just makes me grateful. I did my work. I'd looked out my office window at the city. I grieved the family I wish I had. Now I'm celebrating the family I chose. Spring brought my promotion to Chief of Cardiology's youngest physician. To hold the position at Northwestern Memorial, I celebrated with a dinner party on my rooftop terrace. 30 people who'd supported me, believe it, in May showed up for me. Jennifer gave a toast to Dr. Sarah Chun, who proved that the family you're born into doesn't determine the life you build. You inspire all of us. I looked around at the faces smiling at me, genuine smiles, proud smiles, loving smiles. This was what I'd been chasing my entire life. Not wealth, not success, not even recognition. Belonging. And I'd found it not by earning it through endless achievement and financial support, but by choosing myself, setting boundaries, and building relationships with people who saw my worth without me having to prove it. That night, Daniel stayed after everyone left. We sat on the rooftop under string lights, the city glowing below us. Any regrets? Ask it. I thought about it honestly. I regret that it took me 29 years to realize I deserved better. I regret the money I gave them, not because I need it back, but because it represented years of hoping they'd change. But walking away, setting boundaries, building this life, I gestured to the loft, to the city, to everything I'd created. No regrets at all. What about the future? Do you think you'll ever let them back in? If they do the work, maybe. Limited contact, strict boundaries, on my terms, only. I leaned against him. But I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not waiting for them to change to start living my life. I've already started. Good, he said simply. A year after that photo appeared on Instagram, I posted my own image to social media. It showed my rooftop terrace at sunset, filled with my chosen family. The caption read, "Grateful for the people who show up, celebrate with me, and love me not for what I can provide, but for who I am." This is what family looks like. I didn't tag my blood relatives. They weren't on my social media anymore, but I hoped, somehow, they saw it. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I wanted them to see what they'd lost by never seeing me in the first place. I was no longer invisible, and I was finally, genuinely, completely happy.